Hi, we are at day 9 of Upskill in GCP, and today we're going to talk about the bird's eye view and how we can go further granular into each service. So, any cloud provider you want to upskill, irrespective of AWS, GCP, Azure, or even any new service in the upcoming days, first we want to understand what are the products they offer, what are the purpose of the product, and when we want to choose those products. So, here when we say product, it can be the service, it can be the other options which the providers provide. So here if you see the GCP offers you the clear-cut page under the specific web page called cloud.google.com/terms/services. And if you go down, they categorized the services based on the functionality. So if you have any compute actions to perform, then these are the services offered, and each service name has its own specific description towards it. Likewise, they have for storage, database, networking, and even for the monitoring and operations purposes and analytics and more. Yeah, so you can just go through this and refer like what are the your core area of interest. If you're from networking background, you might be begin exploring the services from the network area of components. If you're from the developer side, then try exploring from the developer tools. If you're from database, likewise, right? So since cloud is like spread across, uh, the good thing is like you can start from any place uh, once your base are sorted. So from day 1 to day 8 is your base, right from setting accounts, right from understanding the IAM policies. Once that is been sorted, uh, you can start with any service that is more relevant to your area of expertise. And in case if you have no specific area of expertise, then you can just start from top to bottom to get the taste of how the cloud works. So let's take an example of cloud storage as an example and see how to upskill in the specific task, right? So if I go for uh, two things, like one in terms of if you go with GCP and then the service name, then it's going to take you to the specific documentation page of the specific services, and they're going to give you about what are the features it offers from the specific service name. And if you go how it works, they have the clear video picture with you can explore further. And then the main thing is about the common use cases. So when you start with any normal course, they might start giving introduction of a specific purpose, and then more you expand or like more higher the certification courses you go, then the more use cases get added on. Whereas if you start exploring the documentation page of the product, they give you the 360 image of what it actually meant for and what are the feasibilities you can do, so that once you begin with the service which is more relevant to your role, try to explore on this. So for example, this one, the compute storage service, the cloud storage service, it can be used to backup and archive, can be deliver your media content and act as a big data analytics source, and you can even host a website. So these are the common use cases. And then go for the what are the pricing they're going to charge you, so that before getting into hands-on, you know like how much you might incur in the billing part. So everything is being can be found in any service provider. Go to the specific documentation page, and then you would get the basic details, like in terms of the purpose, in terms of the use case, feasibilities, and the costing wise. So once this is being done, what you can do is you can go with the service name, obviously. So the one good thing I found in terms of the GCP is that you can go here and let's search for the keyword cloud storage, and that's going to take you to the specific service. And the UI is more similar. All the tutorials part are incorporated on the right side of the uh, GCP window. So in case if you are planning to launch a website with the bucket, so go ahead with host a website, then it's going to give you the specific part, you see, and then the step-by-step instruction is being given. So in case if you want to go with a specific Terraform samples is given, the life cycles which you can achieve is given, and like almost everything's been green. And for the detailed documentation, you can go with this storage docs, and then the each and every documentation is given. So you don't need to worry about what course you want to follow, or what where to find the right resource. The best place is to like deep dive into the documentation part. So come up with a use case, and then try to choose a specific service. You can go in two ways. Like one, come up with a use case, choose a service, and then get the hands-on. Or as I showed, you can choose a service first. So if you remember, like we went here and then we choose a service, and then we saw the common use case, and then you get started from the hands-on part. So both ways we can explore. So let's try creating a bucket. So if you see here, they follow the same standard pattern. So you can go here, and then each and every guideline is being documented, incorporated to it. So if you see like name your bucket, then it's take you to the reference page of the another wiki page. So that is something I find it helpful when people do in the hands-on part. The other side is like I felt not that helpful is that the documentation page is not uh, crystal clear at one place. For example, uh, so here it goes like this. So whereas if we talk in terms of the AWS documentation, is generally like everything is at one place, and whereas this one is like each one it's been incorporated within the UI. So you can't really upskill unless you do the hands-on part, right? So that's both pros and cons when it comes to documentation page. So the example is given and the naming guidelines is given. So you go here, so they talk about what are the do's and don'ts, and what are the limitations part, and what are the reserved keywords. So everything is being discussed in terms of documentation part. So again, if you come down, they've given you the create buckets and what are the specific use cases you would need also been given. So let's say I will keep it as um, EB the hyphen demo, and let's give continue. So labels is more of same as tagging, so you can have to uniquely track your resource. So then here it talks about the next one. Choose where to store your data. So again, they given you the another reference documentation, like learn more to see what geographical locations you want to choose, what is the pricing options available, and what are the benefits you would get out of choosing the specific region versus this one. So for now, I'll go with the specific one region and then continue. So again, so if you see how the GCP is designed is like you start your hands-on, and for each steps they map you to specific reference documentation, so that you are sure, you are aware, rather dumping all the information at once. Each one takes you to a specific documentation. So uh, they make you really try to relate between how you can do it. So also you can see here uh, that documentation guides has been like a major one place only, but then again it's take you to the nearby one, and the reference documentation is given one by one. That's good. So here if you see the access control part, so again for preventing public access, there's a separate documentation guide is given. So if you do create, then you can confirm, and then the bucket is going to be get created for you. So what we did is, so this one is an example of how you can upskill in specific part, right? So you don't need to worry about someone to come and teach you. So you just need to go into the specific service, understand what it does, and then take it to the next step of getting to the right documentation part, and then explore more further on it. Let's try to take some other example maybe. So this page compares all the services between AWS, Azure, and the Google Cloud. So this one is like very helpful. So for example, if I want to compare between, let's say, the AWS S3 with this one, so they give you like all the services of S3 and what services you can choose. For example, this one is for the simple storage service, and they talk about for the object storage purpose, right? Because as I said, this S3 or this one can be used for multiple purposes. So if your use case is for object storage, then you would go with the cloud storage. And if you click here, that's going to take you to the right documentation part use case. Let's say you might be hearing people talking about EC2, then you can see here like the EC2 equivalent is compute engine. So if I choose compute engine, then again you're going to, they follow the same pattern, same snippets, like common use case where about create your first VM, and then you can migrate, backup, and modern running the containers apps in your EC2. And for workload, again, they talks about the same pricing. So any cloud provider, they, for the documentation purpose, they generally follow the same skeleton of documentation structure to make it more user friendly part. So let's say if you want to, let's talk about, now we know the service name for the EC2 equivalent. So we can go for web or console, and then say we want to talk about compute engine as a service name. So if I go for compute engine, uh, it's going to take here, and then the UI looks similar, right? So instead of create storage, here it's asking about create instance, and then it follows the same pattern of what are the things you could achieve in the documentation part. Now let's say I want to do a create instance, and then so they follow the same pattern, like what instance name, if anything you need to worry about, and then they also give you an estimate. That's pretty cool because else on providers like AWS, we want to do our own max as a separate calculator app, whereas they given a separate one. And if you need more details about the pricing, there's a separate link being mapped. So you can go over here and then uh, choose a specific customs. Again, like what machine type to choose, a specific documentation has been mapped here. And then the model, and like almost everything is being have the documentation mapped inside over here. Like they identified an APSs, and again there's a documentation part of it. So it's more about sitting in front of a system, going through it, the documentation part. Anyone can upskill without even need of a separate course. And for the core concepts around like hello HTTP traffic, hello HTTPS traffic, you might need to know the core about like what is HTTPS, what is HTTP, what it does. So for which you would need to go be strong in the core concepts, right? So that's more around like wanted to show you like how you can kickstart your journey once your base infra is ready of the GCP itself, right? So you get to understand like what are the generic offerings as a service, and then choose a passion or like more relevant service you kickstart. Or if you're already skilled in any of the specific cloud provider, check here like what is equivalent of the offering in GCP, and then go to the product page and then get it started. So that's more around like day 9 of Upskill in GCP. If you find this video helpful, do leave a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video. Thanks.